Hello, I'm James Woodcock and welcome to the MonsterCast E3 2011 Special Edition podcast, found at consolemonster.com. Today I'm joined by Marty Greenwell.
Hello.
And Ricky Lee Staines, who is new to the MonsterCast.
Hello.
E3 is a yearly event that hosts the biggest gaming-related players, including, of course, Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo inevitably caught everybody's attention with the announcement of their new console that is set to replace the Wii, named the Nintendo Wii U. I kid thee not. The Nintendo Wii U comes with a single controller that features a 6.2-inch touchscreen that sits within the usual controls. So guys, what do I make of the new Nintendo Wii U?
That's a strange one from Nintendo. I was very confused when they announced the console because we were chatting together on Skype about it, the Console Monster crew, and none of us could actually work out whether it was a Wii add-on or a new controller or whether it was the new console. It was a bizarre presentation.
Well, I think even the audience and the media weren't entirely sure, and the fact that Nintendo had to keep reassuring the people that were there, this is a controller. You can't take it out and about with you, because it was all about this controller, wasn't it? It looked like a portable handheld. It looked like a bigger 3DS without dual screen. But you can't take it out and about. You have to use it with a new Wii U console.
Yeah, basically it's a dumb terminal, so all the processing is done on the new Wii U console, and the video to it is streamed, so it's kind of like the on live service that has been on PCs and it's coming out for iPad and Android phones. And
do you think that's the way console gaming will go in the future? Just dishing the console all together, and we'll be using iPads and various other devices and having that information streamed to us, so we don't have to keep buying all this powerful hardware.
I wouldn't like it to go that way. I just like owning my games, so no, I don't want a system where everything's on a server somewhere that you never see, where a company can go bankrupt and that's it, all your games are gone.
Now, the Nintendo Wii U is all about this new controller, and just like the Wii before it, it was all about the controller more so than the system. But although the Wii U has high-definition graphics at last, what do we make of this new controller with its 6.2-inch touchscreen?
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I think it makes a lot more sense than the Wii Remote. Iwata was talking about a sort of more open system for casual and hardcore gamers, and I think it works far better in that sense than the Wii ever did.
And that's what it was all about. They were really pushing the fact that the Nintendo Wii brought in this new casual audience, but the hardcore stepped aside. So they have the best of both worlds with this new controller? Is it possible?
I think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle because that market's already been gobbled up by PlayStation and Xbox 360. The games that we saw shown on that were HD, that were core game stuff, were titles we've already seen on those platforms. And by the time that this console's actually out next year, Microsoft and Sony are going to be gearing up for their new consoles, which are going to blow the console out of the water in terms of graphical ability, I would imagine.
I wonder if the actual new controller, though, will help third-party support in the end, in the long run, because the Wii really only, I think, died out on third-party support because the controller couldn't really sustain new gameplay experiences. So I think the new controller is a lot more versatile, and maybe once the more powerful HD games go, we'll be left with more innovative ideas.
Well, possibly, but I'd imagine the first stuff we're going to see will be maps and inventory screens that are going to be shown on this pad.
Yeah.
I mean, the other issue that I have with it, I think the idea is an interesting one, but if you're holding this controller and you're having to look at the controller screen, you're not looking at your TV screen. So things like maps and inventory, you may as well bring up on your TV screen anyways. You've got to look away.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I did see some of the nice stuff, like holding the thing in front of your face, and it would pan with the screen, and it would reveal stuff. So you can imagine something like a Ghostbusters game where you'd see the ghosts come in that you couldn't see on the TV. You would have to use this piece of equipment, and there are some nice ideas for it. But then again, without having held this pad, I've no idea how comfortable it is, how heavy it is, how long you're going to be able to hold it in those kind of positions for. But,
it looks fairly uncomfortable, doesn't it, in some ways? I mean, it's almost like they've reversed the controller. The face button's actually below the analog sticks. So it'd be really weird. I wonder how first-person shooters will work with that, really.
And it's about 8-inch dark, and on the screen there's a 6-inch screen, so there looks to be another inch either side of that. So it's quite a hefty bit of kit.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be using the touch screen, I mean, you're either going to have to put it down on a flat surface or hold it in one hand, which seems like it could be quite bulky to do. I've got to reserve judgment until I've actually held one in my hands and used it and whatever, but that's going to be a way off, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when they first showed the NGP, everyone was saying how huge it looked, but get it in your hands, it actually looks, a lot more comfortable. So I guess it'll be the same with the Wii U.
Well, people had reservations about the PSP as well, and that turned out to be fairly fine for longer gaming sessions. We'll just have to wait and see. We haven't really seen any titles from Nintendo as to what's going to be coming out on it. First-party titles, we saw a lot of third-party ones announced. But,
I mean, even their first-party stuff, they weren't real full games. A lot of them were they? They were mostly tech demos.
There were tech demos, yeah. They didn't really announce any games, I think, other than I can't remember the name of the fighting title. Super Smash Brothers. That's what I'm talking about.
Which is also going to be on the 3DS, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they announced plenty of 3DS games, but very little other than that.
Yeah.
In fact, Wii was pretty much left behind. Only with the Zelda game.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't actually announce Pikmin for the Wii, but they've sort of stalled it now. I think it's Miyamoto said it was going to be on the Wii U. I think it said it in a roundtable after the show.
It would kind of make sense to do that. I can see the screen being very useful there for controlling where the Pikmin are going. That's a genre that might work really well.
Yeah,
with that pad.
Well, do you think the Wii U controller could be a differentiator? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say for about 12 months they're not going to have any next-gen consoles to be rivaling it. So if somebody has yet to dive in, and that may be quite unlikely, but if they've yet to dive into this console race and they're trying to make a choice of where to go, PS3 may give them a similar experience to the Xbox, but the Wii U with its new controller and effectively two screens, do you think that will swing it in Nintendo's favour?
I think it's what Marty said. I think at first it will be used for inventory screens and things like that, really, and just the developers will fumble with the hardware just trying to work out what fits.
Yeah, pretty much the same that they did with the Wii, and it's going to be Nintendo with its first party support that it is going to be the main player on that console, at least at first anyway. But will it draw gamers in? I think that's going to be down to the price. I mean, if they can pull it in 250, yeah, I think it's probably got a chance.
Yeah.
If it's going to be 300 plus, no, I think it's going to struggle at that sort of price point.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was releasing tomorrow, you two, would you go out and buy one if the price was right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a console that I don't own, so yeah, I would.
Yeah, same, definitely.
Oh, now that's interesting because you were quite pessimistic, but it seems you're true gamers. You want every little bit of tech that's released.
Well, I wouldn't want to miss out on a Zelda game.
Oh,
No.
well, there you go then. So do you both have 3DSs?
No, that's one console I have not bought yet, but I'm a bit put off with that because of its region locking.
And what about you, Ricky?
I'm put off by the price. I really want one. I bought the DS on day one, but I just can't afford the 3DS at the moment.
Well, the 3DS has been around for a while now, and a fair few titles were announced for the platform with many familiar nostalgic names from Nintendo's own catalogue. But is this enough to give the platform a bit of a push? Because it hasn't been the immediate success Nintendo probably were hoping for.
No, it's just been a bit of since the initial rush when it was launched, it's slowed right down in terms of sales, so you get your early adopters, and I think the price, as Ricky was saying, has put a lot of punters off. That and the lack of software, so maybe these new titles, first-party titles like Mario, which looks very, very good. It will help.
I think a lot of the more hardcore games as well, the remakes they're having, like Star Fox, will help get more hardcore gamers playing the 3DS and buying the 3DS. I think that's quite important, actually.
It's an important title for them, but I mean, I don't know whether you've played those titles recently. They weren't that great.
They've redone some of the graphics, haven't they? I mean, they do look visually much better now. So hopefully that'll be a big pull.
Well, basically they're just on-rail shooters. We'll have to see what they do, whether they just follow the exact same gameplay experience as all the other ones, but with 3D, or whether they're going to trying something new. Yeah. I just find these motion controls a gimmicky thing.
Yeah.
And even though the Wii U isn't out yet, and probably won't be for many, many months to come, the original Nintendo Wii hardly got a look in, did it?
No, other than Zelda, I don't think there was anything announced for it, wasn't there?
No, I don't think there was, no. Just Skyward Sword coming before Christmas, I think.
We just saw lots of Wii controllers that would work on the Wii U.
Yeah, they got an issue with the branding, I think. I personally never liked the Wii name, so Wii U, I think, is going to confuse parents for the kids when it eventually does launch.
Yeah, they'll probably try and buy just the controller for the Wii or something.
Well, Nintendo said that you weren't going to be able to buy the controllers separately, and there was talk that only one controller would work.
Yeah, a lot of was it Miyamoto that said that they're probably going to try and get people to buy 3DSs as a spare controller for the Wii U. I'm sure I heard that somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I suppose it's kind of similar, really. You got the touchpad and things. Probably a lack of another analog stick, but otherwise that's I think fairly similar.
Well, maybe.
Probably the technology just isn't there to stream to two screens.
Well, this is what the thinking was, that they couldn't have the processing power in the unit to do the calculations for three different displays. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, the unit on the screen on the controller is not HD, so it needs less power to work all the stuff out for that, and less memory.
But you wouldn't really expect it to be, would you?
Well, can you imagine the fights it's going to be if you've got one of these controllers and two young kids? My go with the controller, my go. And then it goes flying like the Wii controllers do and smashes into the telly, and you've got two broken screens.
I don't think they'll show that in the advert, will they?
No.
Well, that's what YouTube's for.
Exactly.
So Sony is still recovering from its hacking attack on the PlayStation Network, and its E3 presentation was used in a way to apologise again right from the offset to its millions of users for the loss of personal information. So they did have a lengthy presentation, and Ricky was telling me before the recording of the podcast that he was up at 1 a.m. till 4 in the morning, even though he had to get up really early, probably only had a couple of hours of sleep, to watch the Sony presentation live. And it was a doozy, wasn't it? It was long.
It was very long. I think it was about 2 hours in the end or something.
So Ricky, was it worth staying up for?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it was quite a strong showing. I love the NGP, Sony PS Vita now, isn't it? I hate the name. But everything they showed for that I thought was fantastic. Uncharted looks amazing, almost as good as the PS3 version. I thought it was a really strong showing. Well,
we'll come to the PS Vita a little later, but what about things like Uncharted 3?
I think that Sony had of all the console makers, Sony had its strongest lineup in terms of games. The most games that I'm interested in, I mean, things like Dust 514 look very good.
Which is exclusive now, isn't it?
It's an exclusive now, yeah. They said that they wanted to go on to the Sony platform because Sony is the most open, which
that's true.
75 million plus people know that.
It's too open.
But then they had Uncharted 3, Sly Cooper, which is making a comeback. We haven't seen one of those guys for a while.
Yeah, I actually reviewed the Sly Cooper collection for the site, actually, and so I'm really looking forward to that one.
Oh, we had Resistance 3 as well, and Starhawk, which looks another good one. That's kind of gearish, that one.
Yeah, it does.
They didn't really show very many Move games. The NBA one, NBA 12, which kind of looked a little bit gimmicky, with the bit dumbed down with the controllers. You point it to where you want to throw the ball to. And then the Medieval Moves game, which I think is from the guys who did Sports Champions.
Yeah, I don't think everyone was too impressed with that one.
No, and it did make me laugh when they were going on at being realistically getting their arrow out of their quiver from behind their backs, when actually they always used to wear those on their belts. It's a fallacy that people use quivers from their backs.
So they were all a quiver.
Didn't do it, but it did look good. It did look quite interesting, but no, they didn't really show much in the way of Move, and they weren't so obsessed with the 3D this time around either. They had that announcement of the cheap TV that was going to be packaged. Yeah, and it could have you could view two different pictures on it if you were at different angles, which I thought was quite good. No, it was with the glasses, wasn't it? They used the glasses to get the two different pictures.
I think so. Yeah,
I thought was quite clever.
I think it's too expensive a little bit.
$499 for a 24-inch 3D TV. It could pull people in. I think that this is something they need to do, because at the moment the 3D TVs are pretty pricey when they're over $1,000, and then your glasses on top of that, which can set you back another £100 a pair.
Yeah.
But the Uncharted 3 multiplayer beta will start for PlayStation Plus subscribers June the 28th, and for everyone else a week later. So, are we going to get betaing?
Well, pretty much everyone, won't they? Because everybody's got PlayStation Plus up until about July 10th.
Yeah, definitely then.
Because they gave one of the comeback things was the 30-day PlayStation Plus trial, wasn't it?
I think you get is it 2 free games as well?
If you knew what you were doing, you could get 4 or 5.
Really?
Well, all you need, this is a top the tip, is to have a second account that you used on your console before it all went down the tube. So if you've got a second account, log in with that one, and you can have another pick of your games.
So the beta will run until only July the 13th. So you're going to have to get your finger out.
Yeah, I can't say I'm overly fussed if I miss it. I haven't played the second game yet, so I think I really should start there before I go any further.
Well, put it this way, if it wasn't for the Uncharted series, I'd have probably sold my PlayStation 3 by now.
Really? Because there are some really nice exclusives that were
definitely. Definitely, but when you're trying to cut down and your time's getting shorter and shorter, and I don't mean I'm popping my clubs, I just mean I've got lots of other freelance work to do. You think to yourself, well, the Xbox 360 has a lot of titles very akin to the PlayStation 3. Xbox Live, I still think, is far better than what PlayStation has on offer in the online arena.
Yeah.
So you think, oh, well, is it worthy to keep yet another console? Shall I get rid of one?
There's always something that then comes along that you say, I wish I hadn't sold that.
Yes, I know. That happened to me with the Sega Saturn. But never mind, that's another story.
Same.
Some good games with that. But anyway, I digress. But the fact of the matter is, are we excited about the PlayStation 3 after that presentation?
Yeah, I think there's some good games coming out that are exclusive to that platform in the future. So I think out of all three, they probably had the best showing, but really that's not saying that much.
Yeah. I'm not too interested in Resistance myself. I didn't really like the first, couple of games. But, the PS Vita stuff, just really excited about that.
Although already announced months before, the Sony Next Generation Portable, or NGP for short, was finally given its true name of Sony PlayStation Vita, or PS Vita for short.
Or Rye Vita, as everybody's going to be calling it.
Don't cry for me, PS Vita. So to be released in Japan by the end of the year, and everywhere else looking like it will have to be in 2012. So what are your thoughts on this new handheld console?
It's not cheap.
It's a little bit cheaper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, Sony tend to start off pretty hefty in price. If we look at the PS3 as a sterling example of that. So the PS Vita is about €250 on $250, depending on where you reside. No actual UK pricing yet, unfortunately. Do you think that's a good price, though?
I think it's a very good price for the amount of processing power you're going to get. I think it's it's quite a close price to the 3DS in many ways.
It looks a little bit more powerful than the 3DS.
Quite a bit more powerful.
In fact, some of those games were looking quite brilliant. With, and they all seem to be PS3 port-alongs, well, not quite ports, but similar games as to we've already seen on the PS3. Didn't see that much in the way of original titles.
There's Mod Nation Racers and things like that, wasn't it? Really, a lot of PS brands.
Yeah, a lot of known brands that are going to sell well, which they need. I mean, they need these titles for launch.
I think they look fairly similar as well in graphics, I think, to the PS3. I mean, on that small resolution, you can really get some great graphics. Yeah,
when the small resolution lets you get away with a lot more, of course, because the bigger your screen goes, then the more detail you've got to provide. So, but yeah, they are looking very, very special on that screen. The only thing missing, unfortunately, is a TV out on it. Quite surprised that they didn't have an HDMI out on it, so you can plug it in your TV. So they did that with PSP. If you ever tried the HD leads, it looks absolutely awful. So maybe they thought about doing that and went, perhaps not.
You'll have to wait for the PS Vita Slim.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that Sony did talk about after the conferences and after seeing the Wii U was using Vita as a similar streaming screen, and you're actually probably going to be able to do more on that because it is a more powerful unit.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
But it isn't new, is it? Because they did this with the PSP and the PlayStation, where, you could use it as a rear view mirror. Yeah,
I mean, it was gimmicky. You could use it. It was going to be for GT. Did it actually work? Could you?
I don't think they ever released that feature. It was just that little tech demo and never utilised.
Well, you can do your remote play on your PS3 and your PSP, although I find it tends to crash my PS3 a lot and it stops working. So
the PSP is a shining example of this. People got really excited about it when it was announced, and then when it was finally launched, that, hey, this is PS2-like graphics in your hand, this is amazing. But then the PSP was pretty much trounced by the DS worldwide. Is the same going to happen with the PS Vita?
It's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. They sold, it's about 5 million PSPs in the UK compared to around about 10 million DSs, I think it was. But it's slightly different now because the prices are kind of the same, whereas Nintendo had a steal on the PSP before because it was half the cost.
The 3DS is selling quite slowly as well, isn't it? So maybe they can capitalise on that somehow with a strong lineup of games.
What was the launch dates in the UK until 2012?
It was the 25th?
So it's
25th of March?
Quite a way off, so I mean that still gives the 3DS a year's start.
Yeah.
And a year's a long time in gaming terms.
It is, but perhaps PSP will surprise us, the new generation PSP will surprise us this time around.
Well, how do you think it could surprise us? I mean, it's got a lot more going about it. It's not just about the spec of the graphics, is it, and the increased effect it's had on the unit. It's about all the other little gizmos and gadgets that actually feature with it. Well, so that, for example, around the back you've got that little touch area which can have an impact on the game. It's got the gyroscopes and things like that in it.
It's got a lot of tech in it.
Accelerometer.
It was good what they did in the Mod Nation Racers demo, where you could actually use the back panel to create a level, which I thought was really clever.
You can use the back panel to create a level, so explain.
Well, he was sort of crafting a level, a racetrack, using the panel with his finger, just creating sort of mountains and things, which I thought was really cool.
I mean, that is one thing that actually really worries me on the PS Vita, is the fact that the front is also a touchscreen. Fingerprints.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an issue when the screens are on. You only really see that when when it's on black and turned off.
Oh, trust me. As a Apple user of an iPhone and an iPad, you see fingerprints when it's on, when it's off.
I've got my
when
Android.
It's sunny, when it's raining.
Maybe the Apples need better screens.
Oh, I won't go as far as that, Marty. I think any touchscreen device is going to have that lovely fingerprint residue left behind.
Oh yeah, I mean it's easy enough to clean up here, as long as you get a proper cloth and not just a J cloth that's going to scratch your screen to death. No, I recommend you get one of these stuff for cleaning your glasses, and then you'll be fine.
The microfiber ones.
The microfiber
I think Sony,
stuff.
yeah.
That's
I think
the
Sony
ones.
give those away, actually, don't they? I'm sure the PSP came with one.
They give a lot away, Sony.
Oh, they've had to.
Not always intentional.
Not always by choice.
It's going to be a running joke for many months, that is, isn't it?
I think it probably is, and I think they probably deserve it. Although Codemasters announced today that they've also lost a load of personal data, so they need a good slapping too.
Microsoft had probably the most bizarre presentation of the three, and trust me, that really is saying something. Focusing heavily on their hands-free controller, Kinect titles will be flooding the Xbox 360 lineup in no time at all. So, question: has the Kinect controller finally proven its worth within the living room with the latest E3 demonstrations, or is it falling flat on its backside as a peripheral?
I haven't got one.
Mine's still gathering dust. And it still hasn't resolved the space issues that Kinect needs to make it a viable product in my living room. Although I think it was James who sent me a link to this little third-party thing that fits on the front of Kinect, which apparently will reduce the amount of room that you need, so that could be the solution to many people's woes.
Yes, that was by Nyko. It's just something you click on to connect that goes over the lenses, and it gives you much more room for manoeuvre, and you can have a little bit of a smaller room.
Yeah, it changes the focal distance a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, quite why Microsoft didn't include something like that in the kit, I have no idea. Because maybe I wouldn't be so down on Kinect if I could actually use it in my living space.
Well, maybe Nyko are just that great, or there may be a downside to it we're not aware of yet. Who knows?
No, but I mean, if it's not expensive, I should definitely give it a go and see if that improves the experience. I don't know, it can't be worse. In terms of the games that they played, Microsoft went a bit mental with Kinect, didn't they? They didn't really show that much else apart from Kinect games, and they're just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And there was an announcement today that they want all first-party games to have Kinect support. And you just think, really? Do you have to push Kinect into every single game? Do they really need it?
Yeah, I think they thought they were being really, really clever by having the hardcore games at the start of the conference, and then the more Kinect games, casual games at the the end. But they showed Kinect with Mass Effect and things like that, so it just sort of kind of ruined what they were trying to do, I think.
Well, I mean, it could work.
Kinect's got to appeal to the hardcore gamer, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the hardcore gamer's going to want him to be shouting his commands at his crew. And I think the idea is quite interesting there, but you don't need Kinect for that anyway. You could use the microphone plugged into the controller. Why do you need Kinect to do voice commands? It wouldn't really get you any more into the game by being able to speak the lines than pressing them, because he ends up saying something completely different anyway. It's not like it's taking on board what you're saying.
Well, Rainbow Six had some sort of voice activation many years ago on the Xbox One, so it's nothing new. We have seen it before.
And we've seen it on one of the Tom Clancy games on Xbox 360, End War, was voice control. Do you believe?
Good? I never actually got the chance to play that in the end, so I don't know how well it works. Or
it works really well. It's a middling game, but the voice command stuff works okay, isn't it? I think if they had the Kinect recognition technology software in that game, then it would probably have been a better still. Because the voice recognition stuff is impressive on Kinect, and it's gotten better with the different releases of the dashboard for it.
And you don't have to wear a headset. I guess that's the idea, isn't it? Kinect, it's built into the unit. There's no headset involved. You just scream at your television.
Yeah, I don't think the mics really pick up that well anyway. I bought U-Star 2 And I bought it on Kinect because the move stuff that they showed looked really dodgy on the whole video footage that you captured on the iToy. But when you get it on Kinect, all that stuff that they showed on the adverts was actually simulated. It wasn't in-game, and it looks just the same as the PlayStation 1.
But they did show Star Wars.
If I was a Jedi, I'd want more than 3 moves, to be honest. And I would want to be able to walk by myself and not have the Xbox 360 do it for me.
You don't feel the Force, then?
I don't feel the Force with that one, no.
No, the Force. You got to feel the Force.
I don't feel it. I think it's more Luke Skywalker in his pre-Jedi days than it is Yoda.
Well, I can't wait to see you waving your arms about in the air, trying to kill those dastardly enemies.
I just think it's an on-rail shooter. It's doing all of the movement through the level for you. And the only thing you get to do is just wave your arms about a little bit. And people who were trying the game out said that it wasn't really detecting them very well when they were playing it on the booths. And you only get to do about 3 moves. Well, you're a Jedi, you should be able to do all sorts of really cool stuff, not just swing a lightsaber about and do a little bit of a force move. Do all sorts of stuff. And that's the trouble with Kinect. It's still limited to a certain type of game because you need a controller to do many different genres, and Kinect has its limitations without the controller.
But what about games that are using Kinect on top of a controller, so for head tracking and things like that? Do you think Kinect's got a place there?
Maybe. I mean, I'd have to use it to see if it works in Forza 4, because that's where it's been used. How much have you got to move your head? How, if away from your screen to be able to get that tracking movement?
Might distract you in the end.
If you had 3 screens, you wouldn't need it anyway. 3 screens and 3 Xbox 360s, 3 copies of Forza 4. You can hook it up on a network, and away you go.
Well, that's it, I guess, isn't it? If you've got a smaller screen, if you've got something like a 24, 26-inch screen, your head isn't going to move that much side to side.
It's not, and you've got to be sat 8 foot from the Kinect for it to work anyway. So how far is that going to be away from your little 26-inch screen? You're not going to be able to see it if you tilt your head.
But they did show Halo Anniversary.
Yes.
Now it's been, 10 years since the first Halo on Xbox One? That's
It was
shocking.
a launch title, yeah. It was a launch title.
And I remember Xbox One was the first console I got on launch. And of course I got it with Halo and Dead or Alive 3, I think it was. Great titles.
Import yours, or was it a UK one?
It was UK, so it would be in March time, which falls around my birthday as a Pisces. But Halo, the original, was brilliant at the time. But they're going to have to make quite a few changes for it to live up to today's standards, and I don't mean just graphically.
I listened to them talking about the game. And it's actually running on the Halo 1 engine, so it's got the same AI, the same maps, and what they've done is they've set a second graphics engine on top of it, which runs in parallel with the original graphics engine, and you're able to flick between the 2 graphics engines as you please, a bit like what they did with Monkey Island.
I don't think the trailer did them much justice, to be honest. But actually, when you see the games close up and side by side, you really do see there's quite a bit of difference between them. So yeah, I think they should have really showed that a bit more in the trailer.
So it's not like Tomb Raider Anniversary then, where they went some way to try and bring it a little bit more up to date, both visually and by gameplay and layout of some of the puzzles. It's an absolute replica. It's just like you say, it's got an extra layer on it.
It's almost a replica, because with the multiplayer stuff, which people I think were hoping it was probably going to go back to the Halo 1 and Halo 2 multiplayer model, they've actually decided to use Halo Reach engine for the multiplayer. So
it's all about different engines.
It is, yes.
Halo 4 was announced right at the end, although it was leaked by Microsoft themselves earlier today by accident on their own website. Cruel, very cruel to themselves there. So Halo 4, we didn't get to see very much, we just got a little teaser trailer of Master Chief using her jetpack to escape his ship being destroyed by the looks of it.
Yes, and the first non-Bungie Halo game, so... How well does that bode?
Although they'll have a lot of Bungie staff within that company.
Well, we'll wait and see. I mean, you couldn't really tell very much from that game. I mean, it's nice to see the Master Chief back, so
It didn't really tell us more than we already knew, that they were working on a Halo game. I mean, you know, it didn't. I'd love to have seen some gameplay, but I guess it's just too early.
And it's going to be the part, and I think this was the biggest news of the whole Microsoft thing. It's part of a new trilogy. This is the first of a set of
on the
three.
360, apparently.
all 3 titles on the 360.
That's what it
I've heard,
seemed
yeah.
to suggest in the presentation. So does that mean the next Xbox console could be quite a way off than we might imagine?
Well, they're not going to drop support for the 360 straight away, even if Xbox 720 or 1080 or whatever they end up calling it is going to come out. So they need to build up the base. So, and they'll already have the established 50-odd million people across the globe with Xbox 360. So, I mean, you'd hope they wouldn't drop support straight away. They kept Xbox One going for a little while.
Yeah, probably 2 days.
Well, they kept on supporting it on Xbox Live for a while after. But
as far as actual game titles, I mean, it's just like Nintendo. The Wii was forgotten. The Wii U, in fact, isn't even out yet, and they forgot the Wii almost. But when the Xbox 360 did launch, the Xbox was like forgotten completely. Okay, Live was still going, everything like that, but as far as actual new gaming titles, not really happening.
No, it wasn't a massive seller, and I think they were trying to move away from that console as quickly as they possibly could. I think there's going to be a difference between moving from Xbox 360 to the new console.
And what about the Xbox 360 wireless speed wheel?
It looks bloody awful. I can't understand why you would want to use it.
Well, describe it to me, Marty, for those who haven't seen it.
Well, it is like the Nintendo Mario Kart wheel, basically, but probably with a little bit more intelligence to it, because that's just a plastic thing, so there's rumbling and it's got buttons on it. But you're holding it in the air, and if you want to play a racing game, you're going to want it with proper force feedback. What we wanted was an updated version of the previous Forza wheel, or something from Logitech, one of their really nice racing wheels. That's what we want. Support of Logitech wheels, thank you. And it's 70 quid or $70. I think it was $70 or 70 pounds. It wasn't cheap anyway.
How can they justify that?
Well, they can justify it because they're the only people that are making them at the minute. So
hopefully it won't set on fire like the original 360 will. Apparently they were overheating.
On fire, did it?
Apparently, yeah, a lot of them returned or something.
Yeah, there was a recall and you had to get something changed.
Yeah.
So just like Apple, Microsoft are diving into the world of the cloud. And by the cloud, of course, online storage. So instead of saving your gamer tag to a memory card or onto the hard drive of your console, you'll be able to save it into the cloud and retrieve it on any Xbox 360. And I think this also means your saved games can go on there as well.
Which is a nice idea, as long as it's not the only place of storage, because let's say you got hacked and you had to take your network down for 6 weeks, you wouldn't have access to your saves or your gamer profile, would you? Which wouldn't be very nice, because then your Xbox 360 wouldn't work very well.
Well, it's very good if you've got 2 Xbox 360s, which I'm lucky to have. I've got one in my bedroom and one in the office here, so it's nice to have cloud storage, because it is a pain in the backside having to swap over USB sticks with your gamer tag on.
I had to do that when I got the Slimline model. Took forever. It took about probably about an hour or 2.
Is that to retrieve it?
I had to take all my game saves over from one console to the next.
I see. Yes, it is a tedious process. And the arcade games as well, getting those all over.
Yeah.
And retrieve. Pain in the bottom. But I think cloud storage is a very good idea, but like Marty says, if you lose internet connection or have any other problems, it'd be nice to make sure that the console you were using last still has a save that you can retrieve.
Yeah.
Well, what I'd like it to be able to do is it just sits there as a backup, and in the background it's saving as things change. So it's really just a sync up to your hard drive save storage.
Now, the PlayStation 3 has a type of cloud storage already for save games.
If you're a PlayStation Plus member.
Indeed, but it's a bit rubbish. It's all manual.
It's manual, yeah. You have to copy the stuff up that you want to save, which is it is probably a good job with them been out for 6 weeks that it wasn't the default storage place.
That's also a good point. So Microsoft, if you're listening, make sure we've got local storage just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case you do a Sony.
Make it a backup sync thing that syncs between all your consoles. That's what we want to see.
So at the start of the Xbox 360 presentation, we had a first showing of Modern Warfare 3 underwater. Were we excited? Does the water do it for you, Mr. Staines?
It was underwater for about 7 minutes, and then, which I think was just a bit too long, really. But then we get to see the huge vista at the end, which was the New York skyline, I think.
It looked like New York, yeah, because you could see the Chrysler building in the background there.
Yeah, so that was quite good.
Yeah, they were underwater far too long, and then when they did rise, you had all this fire and explosions and chaos all around as they were jet skiing off into the distance.
Well, they always do the set pieces well in Call of Duty. I think that's why people go for them, because it's the big movie, isn't it? The big blockbuster movie.
But is it going to be any different from any other Call of Duty Modern Warfare title?
No, it's going to be exactly the same, but that's what people want. Apart from the fact now they've got this extra bit that you have to pay for all of these stats and clan leagues and all this sort of stuff.
Which brings us on to Battlefield 3, which are really pushing the fact that you won't have to pay for any of that additional stuff like you are with Modern Warfare 3. And I have to say, it looked bleeding impressive.
It did, and I think they mentioned the free thing. It must have been about 4 or 5 times. It's free, and this bit's free, and this bit's free.
Straight after Activision announced, Modern Warfare, was it the Call of Duty Elite or something?
Yeah.
So they're just trying to rub it in a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the footage that we saw at E3, or most of it, was PC based. I don't think I saw any Xbox 360 or PS3 based Battlefield 3. But if you've got a meaty PC, that is going to be a grinding game.
Yeah.
It did look very special. The graphics, the atmosphere, the tank-on-tank action. It was all very impressive. I implore you to watch the trailer.
And I think that was perhaps our man's Ant's favourite game of the entire conference.
He always seems to be on Battlefield, doesn't he? Every time I turn on my Xbox, he's on Battlefield.
He's excited for that game.
So what else was there at E3? What other highlights were there?
Well, there's a lot of stuff from Ubisoft, which looked okay. There was all the EA game announcements. They did the Need for Speed The Run game, which looked really strange. I mean, it looked nice, but I'm not sure why you'd want quick time events in a racing game.
No, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, everyone was sort of excited the moment they saw the cars going around the track, and then the moment you saw the person, you just sort of went, no. I just don't see how that really fits with the Need for Speed franchise at all.
No. I mean, I was hoping for something more Cannonball Run, and we'd actually have something like Smoking the Bandit as well. Have Burt Reynolds as a cameo appearance in the game. That would have been good.
And there's going to be another Assassin's Creed, surprise, surprise, and it's for the Wii U as well.
Yeah. Well, that looks okay, but it looks more of the same. They did an announce of the new Hitman game, which was Hitman Absolution.
I didn't see the trailer, but apparently they're going to make it a lot more cinematic, and you can play it any way you want, apparently, I heard.
I hope so.
As a shooter or anything.
I mean, I really liked the previous game because you had quite a bit of choices where you wanted to go around playing that as well. So if they can do more of the same and expand on that idea, I think that's going to be a blinding game.
And what about Atlas?
Atlas, they have a new Shin Megami Tensei game coming out. They have Catherine, which looks like could be a very, very interesting one. Didn't know straight away whether that was going to be coming out outside of Japan, but yeah, it appears it is. It's a puzzle game, a puzzle action adventure game, where you're controlling this guy called Vincent, and he's having a bit of a nightmare about a commitment to his girlfriend Catherine. So that's what that one's all about. Looks very good.
Vincent and Catherine.
Vincent and Catherine, yep. Probably won't be seeing them in Skyrim though.
It sounds like an epic storyline already.
Yeah, but it's not going to be as epic as the Elder Scrolls 5 game, Skyrim. And that looks fantastic. That looks so huge. If you're into your RPGs, you're just not going to want to miss that. There was talk of it being over 300 hours of entertainment in it, and 50 quid. That's a lot of hours for your money.
Well, that's all we have time for in our latest podcast. Don't forget to visit consolemonster.com for all your Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 news, reviews, previews, and much more besides. And also, of course, feel free to follow us on Twitter using @ConsoleMonster. Thanks to Marty.
Bye.
And Ricky Lee Staines.
Bye.
And from me, James Woodcock, I hope to see you next time.